Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Adam Eisen Show. I know I said I wouldn't be seeing you all again until next week, but with all that's happened in the sports world in the last 6 or 7 days, I came home from vacation and have too many thoughts that I couldn't wait on. Starting it off today, you all listening who have been coming back week to week have heard me say Aaron Rodgers' decision on where he was going to play next season was going to come before March 8th at 4 o'clock when the franchise tag window closed, and that's exactly what it did. It came on March 8th around noon, and guess what? What I've been saying, he's coming back to Green Bay, and it was the best deal for both sides. I gave you all my quick thoughts in the YouTube shorts while I was at the beach, but I've had the opportunity now to think more about what this means and what's going to happen, and I'm ready to really dive into it now. Rodgers' contract is not yet known, but it's said to be cap-friendly. Rodgers sent out a tweet saying his contract would be cap-friendly, keeping others in mind. So all the reports of the 4 years, $200 million, Rodgers wanted to be the highest paid in the NFL. It's just another example of fake sports media and people just trying to get a click in today's world. What's important here with the Green Bay Packers is the duo is going to be able to come back. Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adam, the best in the league. And if you don't believe me, I'll let the stats tell you. Since 2019, Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adams lead the league in completions, yards, touchdowns, and first downs. And that's the best duo in the league right there. They are doing everything you need to do. First down's your money down. You want to convert on first down. What do you want to score? Touchdowns. What do you want to get? Yards. They're the best at doing all of those. I'm extremely happy with them both coming back. People are saying that there might be an issue with cap space or things like that. I see the Packers floating the cap for years to come, just like the Rams are doing similarly right now, which we will get into that and how I think that'll play out for the Packers years down. But when we are speaking present day, when we are speaking what is best for the Packers, what is the best odds for them to win, and when we are speaking for Aaron Rodgers, what are the best odds for Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl? And both parties agreed it was each other. Rodgers is a man with 135 touchdowns and 15 interceptions in the last 4 years. His postseason woes is the issue with him and his career, but he understood that he would have found way less success in the postseason if he went and joined the Denver Broncos or the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC. The NFC North is 10 times better of a division for Aaron Rodgers to play in. They've been historically bad, if not terrible, while he has been there. Rodgers understands. He goes to the AFC. He's playing Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Lamar, and there's all these other up-and-coming guys. He's going to have to play them every playoffs when they are 10 years younger than him. They're the generational players. They are just developing better nowadays, and everybody, it's just a constant upward motion for players. Rodgers understands he's not going to be the best forever. The Packers have dominated the division for years, like I've said, and the NFC just gives him the best shot to win. If you have to go through those other guys in the AFC, it's just not going to happen for Rodgers. Now, the one problem I do want to lay out there for all the Packers fans, everybody's thrilled that Rodgers coming back. I am equally as thrilled. But the Packers have now full-on entered a situation that is similar to the Los Angeles Rams. They are selling out for yet another season with the hope to win, which is a fan I love. Like I said last week, every fan wants hope. Every fan wants the next season for there to be a chance for their teams. But few cities can maintain the type of spending and gambling on draft picks like the Los Angeles Rams do. New Orleans Saints. They are crumbling right now, and it's even worse because of how Peyton just left. But they are $70.8 million in debt this offseason. And they're losing all their players. They don't have a quarterback. And that could be a reality for the Packers in years to come. And I want everybody to understand that. I'm thrilled we get a few more years of greatness. But already the transition from Aaron Rodgers to Brett Favre was like nothing we have ever seen before. This Rodgers playing for the Packers this upcoming season, that means for the last 34 years, the Packers have had those two starting quarterbacks as their guys. That's it, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. That's never happens, especially with two Hall of Fame talents. Green Bay is not going to get a third in a row. It's just probably not going to happen, to be honest. And Green Bay is a team that develops through the draft. They're not a team that's going to go out. I know I'm not ever saying Green Bay would get Tom Brady, but put Green Bay in Tampa Bay's shoes 2 years ago. Green Bay would have never, ever went and gotten Tom Brady. I promise you that. They're not that team. Mark Murphy isn't that guy. They're not flying out on their private jets. They're not going to wow anybody. And it's after Rodgers is gone, they're going to deal with a lot of cap problems. Devonta will also be gone. People forget he's been in the league, I think, 8 years now. So it'll be interesting. I'm a very pro-player person and very pro getting paid and everybody getting the best for them. I want the players to take as much money as possible. But what this means now, with Rodgers coming back to Green Bay, it's now to win a Super Bowl, or else none of this, any of it, for the last 3 years that they've been selling out and for the next 3 years that they're going to. None of that was worth it. And you and Brett Favre, two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, are only going to have 2 Super Bowls between about 35 years of playing experience. The Packers have to get it done. I think they still can get it done this upcoming season. With pieces like Rasul Douglas and Devondre Campbell, I know they'll likely test the free agent market this upcoming offseason, but the Packers are great at scouting and finding these diamond in the rough players that can make a huge impact, and I see that continuing to be the case for this season. Now, I want to transfer on to the other massive storyline that broke. There was a few of them, but this was the other huge one no one saw coming, came out of left field for me. I could not love this more. Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. I think it is terrific on the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson and terrible on the Seahawks part. While I don't see them winning the Super Bowl this year, I think this team is going to be built for a long time to come, and they should not be disappointed if they don't win it their first year. The narrative of an elite quarterback moving in the offseason and then you immediately winning a Super Bowl won't stay around for long. It's just too talented of a league. Brady and Stafford did it back-to-back years. We could not see it again for 20 more years, guys. Don't think that's the new normal. It impressed the hell out of me how the Broncos got this done and how cheap they got Wilson for. But what impressed me the most was Russell Wilson and his confidence in himself. Russell Wilson had the option if he wanted to play for the Broncos, and he said yes. He is one of 7 players in this league with a no trade clause. And for me, that speaks volumes about Russell Wilson, and let me tell you why. This trade is not even pursued without his blessing. So he told the Seahawks, I would be okay with going to Denver. Let's take a look at Denver's situation. Denver's still an up-and-coming team. They've been going through a bunch of head coaches in the last few years. It just had all the reports with Brian Flores and John Elway, so there's just bad media around the team. Like I said, young team overall. And the other big factor is they are in a division with Patrick Mahomes, the Chargers, who have Herbert and Khalil Mack now, which we'll talk about the Khalil Mack trade in a minute, and the Raiders, which I promise you, the Raiders will never go down without a fight. If you look at Russell Wilson's career, he has not once hidden away in a worse division. He isn't trying to go somewhere where it's going to be an easy 6 games. He is leaving the NFC West to go to the only division in football that's better, the AFC West. He didn't run, didn't hide, didn't ask to go to any other teams, and that is something a piece of paper and numbers cannot tell you guys and cannot measure. The level of confidence someone has in themselves and what they will bring to a team. That will never be able to be measured on a piece of paper. Him being traded to the Denver Broncos is, in what my opinion was one of the most lopsided trades in NFL history. The Seahawks Broncos gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris. Now, Drew Lock, he doesn't matter. Noah Fant, yeah, he's a good tight end, but Denver, there were scouts coming out all around Denver, people in the front office saying, and other guys around the league, everybody going, there are guys a lot better than Noah Fant. Got problem with his catching, got problem with his blocking, and Denver thought they had better in their 2 and 3 position at tight end. In reality, the really only ding for the Broncos is 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Russell Wilson. That is wild. The fact that the Seahawks could accept this trade. Look, we were just talking about the divisions. The Seahawks, they are in a division where 3 out of the 4 teams are championships teams. The Seahawks have now solidified their future for years to come unless they do one thing this offseason, which is go get Deshaun Watson. His criminal charges were cleared yesterday. He just has the civil left. I promise you, NFL teams will be coming after him. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but that's what the Seahawks are going to need to do. They are going to have to play 2 offensive-minded head coaches at least 4 times a year. 2 geniuses. Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay are geniuses. Don't forget, Kyle Shanahan was able to get Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. And you're going to play him at least twice a year, and you're not going to have a QB? Pete Carroll, for one, is an older coach. He's on the out. I think he's going to be gone after this upcoming season, especially if they don't get Deshaun Watson. This league is changing, and it's growing. Each week I talk about new 15-year cycle is starting here, guys. It's an offensive-minded league that's starting, and offensive-minded head coaches are taking over. Pete is going to leave this organization after a year or get fired. I think Pete is going to end up walking away so he does not get fired from a 3rd head coaching job. I think that is a very bad look on him and his resume, just everything overall when you're looking at the end of his career, if he should be Hall of Famer, what's going to define him. Him getting fired from 3 places wouldn't be a good look. This organization this year, however, will be entirely up in the air, and it will not win this division, and I would bet money that it will be 4th in the division. Now, another stunner move that came out of the NFL this week, it came out of Indianapolis, Indiana, from the Indianapolis Colts. They move on from Carson Wentz. They send him back to the NFC East to play for the Washington Commanders. And for me, I think this comes down to Jim Irsay not being able to get over how the season ended for them. If you guys remember, Week 18, the Colts, all they had to do was go out and beat the Jaguars, who were the worst team in football, who were playing to get the number 1 pick, who weren't really fighting to win because they didn't know that Detroit was going to go out in Green Bay, and the Colts lost and missed the playoffs. While GMs and head coaches can react and do something and, have emotion, if the owners the owners control so much of the show, they are so emotional. It's like, let's think of a restaurant here, guys. The GMs and the head coaches are the cooks and the servers. And while they put on the show for the customers, and just like sports, how they're putting on the show for the fans, they're doing it for the fans, all that, it's the owners that run this show. And it's the owners that get emotional because there's billions of their dollars into this thing. And I feel like ever since the Andrew Luck retirement, everything has been up in the air for the Indianapolis Colts. Instead of staying with Carson Wentz, who is a guy who almost had a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, in an absolutely terrible QB market, they're going to move on in a bad QB class as well, in a QB-dependent league, and they're going to move on from Carson Wentz, when now, before yesterday, there was not one option better on the board. Now, similarly to the Seattle Seahawks, the Indianapolis Colts need to sell out for Deshaun Watson. This Jim Irsay, we're talking about private jets. He needs to hop on his private jet because this is coming down to his meltdown. Jim Irsay is moving on to his 5th starting QB in week 1 of the NFL season over the last 5 years. Every single year, there's a different starting QB week 1. You can't win in this league without consistency. Consistency is everything. You have to build a team. You have to build chemistry. And with all these different QBs, that is not going to happen. Now, there were reports coming out throughout the week that, Carson Wentz, bad locker room environment. Bad's this, bad that. And I'll tell you what, guys, what that was. That was the Indianapolis Colts picking up their mess that Jim Irsay made. With how emotional he was with doing this and getting rid of Carson Wentz, the Colts needed to save their image, and they put out their reports. And I'm going to prove all those reports wrong with one simple question and answer. Frank Wright, now, he's been with Carson Wentz for years. He knew how Carson Wentz was, and he advocated for him. Do you really think Frank Wright, who was already up and down on the job, he needed to hit it this year, would have brought in Carson Wentz, a guy he knew, if he knew Wentz was bad for the locker room and a bad leader, like some of these reports? They've worked together before. Wright knew him. They're friends. I promise you that wouldn't have happened. It's just the way the NFL goes. All this is now is a dump on Carson Wentz, and I don't think it's deserved. I like Carson Wentz as a quarterback. Frank Wright and the GM would not have made this decision, and now Wright is for sure on the hot seat this upcoming season, and he's going to have to make it work with yet another different starting quarterback. Wentz could have gotten them there, and they aren't going to find anyone else that's better other than Deshaun Watson, and he's still a year removed from football. Now, on the Commanders side of things, I think this is a great move overall. They only had to give up 2/3 and a second, which I think is a steal. They called every team in the league looking for a quarterback. Obviously, it's a shame they couldn't get somebody better, but in a very weak division, which Carson Wentz has already been in and won and dominated, they have the defense and a few pieces on offense. They got Riverboat Ron, which I think he's a great culture guy. This could turn out to be a team competing for the NFC East, which would be great to see. And Carson knows that if he messes this up again this year, what it's going to mean for his career. He is going to really try hard this year, and I think he'll really put in the work. Do not be sleeping on Carson Wentz this upcoming season. I think everybody is making an ginormous mistake. Told you guys earlier we were going to get to this. Khalil Mack, just the other day, after all that other big news came out, he got traded to the Chargers, and this does not make sense to me from a Chicago Bear perspective. I understand Mack was hurt last season. He's got a semi-big contract, but in the same week that Aaron Rodgers is returning to the NFC North in the division, you are trading away the one guy that can really get after him in the whole division, at the one guy that really makes him think, and the one Khalil Mack? That's on Rodgers' mind, I promise you. And it could not be worse for the Bears. I really don't understand it. It was a steal of a trade for the Chargers. Lining up Khalil Mack and Bosa is going to help out Mack so much, and I think this was one of the biggest problems with the Bears. Khalil Mack was getting double teamed so often. He was taking so many hits, so much pressure. He was out there so much that he was getting injured. But now Mack isn't going to draw all the double teams any longer. I love a team who's willing to go out and get drastically better with a piece like Mack, who's aging like fine wine and can still go out there and get it done. People are skeptical, but I don't think the injuries as of late matters. I think with this defensive line getting double teamed, what I've said, he's going to get injured less. LA, for many guys, is the perfect fit, and this could very well be the case for Khalil Mack again. He's now also facing the Raiders twice a season, which I think is going to be electric to watch. And the way that with the Raiders ended, luckily John Gruden isn't there anymore, so maybe there will be less bad blood, but I think that will be a hell of a matchup to watch, and it's going to be a great time. Him going to that division. We had Khalil Mack and Russell Wilson both moved to the same division, who was already loaded. The AFC West next year, all those games the teams play against each other are going to be must-see football. It's going to be terrific. Now, the last topic I have for you guys today before we get in a little bit of March Madness is Deshaun Watson. Now, yesterday, Deshaun Watson was found not guilty on criminal charges. Civil charges have not yet been heard, but the criminal ones and the ones that were making teams worried about trading for him are now gone. This drastically changes the entire QB market this offseason. You guys have heard me say for 3 or 4 teams over the last 2 or 3 weeks, who are they going to go out and get that's better? Well, now there's somebody that all teams have an opportunity at that is better. Deshaun Watson was a top 5 quarterback in this league before last year, and I think I can't wait to have him back in the league. I have said it for a week, and it's still true. This is one of the worst QB markets, QB classes we've seen in years. There will be a lot of teams after Deshaun Watson. Jets, Saints, Colts, Seahawks, just to name 4. Pittsburgh, there's so many. I think the big one has to be the Colts. After the move Irsay made and after them dealing Wentz, if they don't go out and get Deshaun Watson, it is going to be a bad year in Indy, and then it's going to be a bad rollover year afterwards. The Seahawks are also an interesting team that I suspect to make a big run at Deshaun, especially knowing who they're going to have to play 6 times a year. They know they need a generational quarterback to get a win, and Pete Carroll knows he's coming to the end of his timeline as a coach, as a football coach. So a big move is going to need to be made out of Seattle, and don't be surprised if it's Deshaun Watson. Last topic I'm going to get into today with you guys is the NCAA and March Madness, which is coming up. The first round officially starts March 17th and 18th. Selection Sunday is tomorrow. Selection Sunday is like one of the best days of the year. It's amazing. Gonzaga seems to be the team yet again this year everybody is betting on. They lost last year to Baylor in the championship game. We'll see if they can run it back this year. Personally, I'm a Duke fan, so I'll be pulling for them the whole tournament. They've got the ACC championship tonight at 8:30 against Virginia Tech Ever since the loss to UNC and the apology from Coach K, this team has had a special feeling about it in my eyes. The team and the coaches, just 2 days ago, before their game with Syracuse, they got food poisoning, and guess what that did? It just bonded them while they were all on the toilet together, and now they've got the chemistry, they've got the weapons, and I think Duke is going to be very, very fun to watch in March. They're fighting for Coach K. It is his final season. It's going to be his final March, and for them to give him his 6th trophy, his 6th banner, would be extremely special. Be sure to be tuning in to my YouTube and Instagram throughout the week as the tournament is going on. I'll be posting many reaction videos, many thoughts and highlights, stuff like that, as the madness unfolds. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this little special episode of the Adam Eisen Show. I know I said I wasn't going to come on this week, but I just had to talk to you guys. There was too much going on. I know it wasn't expected, but I'm happy to be able to be here. I'll see everyone next week for next Friday for episode 22. Peace.